On today's video, we're going to look at the pros and cons of living in an area like this, quite remote for retirement, and the cost, what it costs in comparison to other places like Chiang Mai and Hua Hin. I know some of you guys are interested in. Okay, let's get started with today's video. You know, Hua Hin, there's an abundance of houses to rent, condos, pool villas, apartments, second-hand, brand new. There's so much choice, so you're spoiled for choice. Western style, Thai style, but coming out somewhere like this, even if it's not this remote, rent is going to be limited and some of it will be basic. So yeah, it'll be cheap, but it'll be Thai style full on, and maybe you're not quite used to that as a Westerner. Now if you can adapt, you're used to Thai style, then yeah, you probably find some good rent out here, but the choice is going to be way less. Most people sell properties out here, so if you're coming over here as a foreigner, you know, maybe a couple, and then trying to live out somewhere like this, you know, your renting options are limited. There are some, but they're limited. It's going to be cheaper for sure if you can find one. It's definitely going to be cheaper. But, you know, the option to buy is probably better, but then it's tricky if you're a foreign couple to buy a house in Thailand. It's not always that easy, especially when you're out somewhere like this. You've got to get lawyers, you've got to get organised. How are you going to buy this property in Thailand? Now, there are some guys on here that, you know, are married to a Thai, or they're thinking about getting a Thai wife. You know, living out somewhere like this, if you've got a Thai wife or Thai girlfriend, is, you know, a lot easier. But it comes with other challenges as well that we'll maybe talk about on another video. So, you know, a lot of guys do come back to places like this and live with their missus, you know, as girlfriend, boyfriend, or maybe they got married and they live in the family home, or they rent a place, or they buy. Normally they buy a place out here because it is reasonably cheap out here in this kind of area. You're talking only probably 1 million baht to get a small house out here. Now, some foreigners come to places like this and they spend a fortune building this mansion. Maybe it's a bit over the top for me personally, but a lot of guys do this. They want this complete palace and they look a bit crazy. And I've seen some of these houses in the middle of Isan, and, you know, they're worth 5-10 million baht, and they're even more, some of them, and the massive mansions. And I think it's a bit over the top for out in the countryside. You don't really need that. If you live somewhere like this, you definitely save a lot of money on electricity, that's for sure, because a lot of life up in the countryside like this revolves around the fire, barbecues, cooking on the fire. Even a lot of people up here, they heat their water. For showers, they don't even have an electric shower. They live very basic life, and you can copy this if you want. They also have like wells in the garden, so they don't even have to pay for the water. So you can set yourself up ridiculously, you know, low cost of living, you know. And I think aircon's quite a big one for some people, so that can save, you know, you can basically have nearly no aircon up here if you adapt to the climate. I think in the summer months you'll still need aircon a little bit, but in this house here now they don't have aircon at all. They just have fans in the summertime. And, you know, I think 4 or 5 months of the year it's absolutely fine. But for me personally, as a foreigner, I think, you know, I've been up here when it's hot season and it still gets hot in the daytime. You know, it is very warm in the daytime. And even out of season sometimes, you know, even now it's starting to heat up, you know, the middle of the day. But the mornings and evenings, you notice, do go a lot cooler. That's the big difference, I think. You know, you're saving electricity. There's no cookers. A lot of people cooking on the fire, on the stove, barbecues, you know. And I think you want to cook like that. And actually the food tastes phenomenal when you cook outside like this. The food does have a different taste. My missus always used to go on about this. I never really believed. I was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of similar, but yeah, no, it tastes a lot better when it's cooked on wood, on the fire. It has a unique taste. It tastes delicious. People still use their phone out here. You know, it's not completely remote. Even if you go out middle of Isan or middle of the north where I am at the moment, people still use their phones all the time. They're still on YouTube. They're still, you know, paying for internet service. Does the internet cut off up here? It does sometimes when they have the big storms during the wet season. But the AIS, the one I always recommend, I mean, I've been having no problems. I've been here a few days already, and My missus said up here, AIS is perfect. It never really goes off that much unless there's a big storm and then everywhere's off. So that could happen if you kind of rely on the internet a bit. But the costs are going to be the same if you live here or if you live in the middle of Hua Hin, the same. Something to really think about if you're coming out to live out in a place like this is, you know, the pollution. As you can see, we have fires here all the time, and there is what they call burning the crops off in the countryside. So this is where they're burning some of the old crops, and, you know, they can burn massive areas and it causes a hell of a lot of pollution for people. There's a crazy bug on my camera here. I just noticed. That's another thing you might get in the countryside, a lot of bugs, more bugs than you might do in the city. But going back to the pollution, you know, this area does have a lot of pollution. You know, I've seen it myself. We're quite lucky in this area. There's a lot of mountains around, so it kind of valleys and scoops, so it gets away with it more, I think, here. And there's a hell of a lot of trees around here. I mean, there's trees blooming everywhere here. So it helps, but still, even here, I've noticed it sometime during this burning season, it's, you know, can get a bit musty sometimes, the air. And it's something really to think about. That doesn't affect your costs, but it's something that's very important out here, you know, your health. And that's like massively important. Talking about like medical care and, you know, hospitals around this area, there's not really that many hospitals, and you're still going to need medical insurance if you come to a place like this. You know, you can still get sick, you still have to travel to a hospital. So, you know, your medical insurance costs are going to be the same, whether you're living here in the middle of nowhere or you're living in central Hua Hin. It's absolutely the same. So them costs would be very, very similar. Obviously, there's, you know, a lot of people use like government local hospitals around here and local clinics. And to get a major international hospital, you might have to travel quite a bit, which might be annoying if you're a little bit older and you know, you have to go to hospital quite regularly for checkups. Then that will be something to think about. Sorry to disturb the video, guys. Can you just press the subscribe button? Really helps the channel. Thanks. Look at his New Year's present, yours truly. Thanks a lot. And back to the video. You probably noticed there's a lot of rubber tree farming around this area. And this area is like unbelievably fertile. Like, for example, my granddad, not my granddad, but my missus' dad, granddad, whatever you want to call him, he planted a kanun tree at the farm. I'll just show you now on the video. At the same time as we planted one in our house. And the difference is unbelievable. His has took off like crazy. His is basically a fully grown tree in 7 years. Ours is like, yeah, it looks pretty pathetic. I've not got a video of that tree actually, but never mind. But yeah, believe me, the soil around here is just phenomenal. Things grow so quickly in an area like this. Now, this is very much northern Thailand. Isan and some of that area is very, very dry. I kind of say that area because I know a lot of foreigners go to that area to retire. You know, it's getting more and more popular, whether they've got a Thai girlfriend or not. And that area is very, very dry. Not like this. This area gets a lot of rainfall because we're right in the north. I say I'll put there where we are at the moment. But yeah, it is very, very north, and this area, especially in these mountains here, has a lot of rainfall, a lot of storms in the rainy season as well. I think the main thing that's going to save you so much money living out somewhere like this is just the entertainment. A lot of people spend money on entertainment, you know, really nice restaurants, you know, Western food, going out to the cinema, bowling, all different things you want to do. And I think, you know, living out here is just, that's gone. You know, there's no bars to go and throw your money away in. There's no, you know, if you're having a beer, you just sit at home in the garden and have a beer from 7-Eleven. So, you know, the entertainment side saves you an absolute fortune. But some people find it very boring because, you know, there isn't a lot of things to do when you live out somewhere like this. I mean, for me personally, I love it. It's beautiful. But I don't want to live here permanently. No way. A week and I'm like, okay, let's go home. You know, let's go back to civilization. And I was born on a farm as well. I like the countryside. I love the countryside. I love nature. But I think living out permanently like this has some issues. And for me personally, I'd never want to do this permanently. For a week, 2 weeks, even maybe a month, but that would be absolute max to live out somewhere like this and then go back to kind of civilization again. I kind of like my Western comforts sometimes. So yeah, for me personally, I wouldn't like it. But, you know, some things are awesome about it. You know, the fresh fruit and vegetables you can just pick out the garden. What about bugs and mosquitoes and all these kind of things? Well, you know, if you're near water, yeah, there's some water, then there's always a mosquito around, you know. Mosquitoes are a problem all over Thailand, never mind countryside or town or wherever. They're just they're one of the most annoying things about living in Thailand, I think. The mosquitoes are. And, you know, you can avoid them at certain times of day, just cover up. And, you know, there are ways of avoiding them, but they are annoying to say the least. If you're living out somewhere like this, the chances of getting bit by a snake goes up a bit. You know, there are a lot more snakes if you're wandering around. But, you know, if you use common sense and a bit of precaution, then, you know, you don't really see them very often. I've never seen one up here, and I've been up here loads of times walking around. So the main ones you see are, you know, dead on the road. And we see a lot around Samut Songkhram, which is kind of semi countryside. You see them in Bangkok. I've seen snakes in Bangkok before. So they are about everywhere. I think here you do get some bigger ones. You get some real big ones. But I saw a python next to a school many years ago. I've not got a video of it, sorry. I did have a video and I lost it. It was a massive snake in a tree right next to the school. They had to phone someone to come and get it because it was so near the school. And like loads of kids there. It was this huge snake. It was like, what? It was quite unbelievable. So they do get around the whole country, but most of the snakes you see are dead, to be honest with you. You don't often see live ones, only because I've been here 15 years and I'm always looking out for things like this. And now, especially with videos, I do notice them a lot more if I see one. I think you're more likely to see a monitor lizard. They're everywhere, the monitor lizards are in Thailand. They're lovely. And I think another thing when you're living out here is you absolutely need your own transport. And there's lots of different options for transport when you live out here. So you could have just seen a roller. That's absolutely beautiful bird. I know my birds. I used to be a bird watcher years ago. Where was I? Yeah, you have basically a choice when you're living out here. You can go down the expensive route, which is, you can have a new truck like this, a Hilux or a D-Max or something like this. And, this will be as much as your house. These are like $1 million baht roundabout to buy this kind of truck, And so a lot of people do have these kind of trucks out in Thailand, but they are as expensive as your house if you're buying a house out here. So you have to think about that. Then there's a cheaper option. You can just get an old beat up truck like this one, this old beat up Hilux that granddad had, and like my missus' dad has had for many years. And, drives all down these tracks everywhere, which is quite good. All these trucks are only for two-wheel drive, which is okay in the dry season, but in the wet season that might be a problem a little bit around some of these tracks. You won't be able to go down some of these probably. And then you got the even cheaper option. You can get one of these little scooters, motorbike, old or brand new, up to you. But motorbikes generally are very cheap in Thailand. You can get a three-wheeler thing like this. A lot of people have these now, especially as you get older. Like an electric one as well. They're quite good to use. Some people like these, so they use them in this little village here. I think one thing you'll notice if you live in a village like this, there's a bloody lot of noise, I'll be honest. The main massive noise is the chickens in the morning, the cockerels, the chickens. If you haven't got them on your farm, 100% there'll be the neighbours got some chickens, or someone over the road's got some chickens. So there's going to be cockerels making a lot of noise. 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning waking you up. So I think you need to be an early riser if you're coming out to somewhere like this. The other noise is soy dogs, and other kind of nuisance, I think, is the soy dogs, which are I mean, the soy dogs are absolutely bloody everywhere out here in the countryside. They're all over the roads. There's just thousands of them. You can't really go running down the roads. It's pretty dangerous. I've done it a couple of times and nearly got bit. I don't run out in the countryside like this anymore, especially down the road, especially early in the morning, late at night. The dogs savage, some of them are, the soy dogs, so you do have to watch that. Come out somewhere like this, it's fine going walking. There's no soy dogs around here. They're always normally near, you know, they're normally near the roads. You do get odd ones like this, but generally no, because they want people around, because they feed them, the people feed them. So, and people do feed them. It's surprising, actually, how many people do feed the soy dogs. And then it kind of encourages even more. You get more of them coming to that area because someone feeds them regularly. So yeah, they're a bit of an issue, soy dogs are out in the countryside. So yeah, they're kind of options for transport. Are there any buses? Yeah, there's kind of local buses, but they're few and far between. Local song towers you could use, but I think most people have their own transport out here, even if it's only a beat up old Honda Click or old motorbike. I mean, this is one of the massive benefits of coming out to somewhere like this, is it's, you know, a hell of a lot cheaper living somewhere like this than it would be in Hua Hin or Pattaya or anything, because you're not got any temptations. You're living a very healthy, cooking at home most of the time, or even buying food out, you know, local restaurants and stuff. But, you know, there's not many gyms out here to spend your money on, entertainment things to do. I think very, very limited. So as you can see, you know, living out in a place like this, you know, is generally cheaper as the noisy motorbike comes past, you know, because we are next to the main road here and the cars. So it is generally cheaper, but it's not for everyone, for sure. I say, me personally, I would never want to live out in a place like this permanently. I think for a holiday or the short term, it's absolutely beautiful. What do you think, guys? Put it in the comments below if you live out in an area like this. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy New Year, and I'll see you probably after the New Year now. Take it easy until the next one.